Greetings and welcome. It is said that hope works wonders. Great. Glad to hear it. Now what do we do? That was my question as I began exploring the topic for this week. I chose it, knowing that it's something we need more of, hope, but I didn't really know why. If someone asked me, is hope important, I would of course say yes, but then if they asked me why it's important, I'm not sure what I would have said. And today is Mother's Day. Motherhood is hope personified. Nothing could be more hopeful than an expectant mother and the nurturing of a child into adulthood. And while we do spend a bit of time acknowledging mothers here, I have a separate Mother's Day message today on our virtual church YouTube channel, if you'd like to see that as well. But here and now, we'll be exploring the impact of hope on our lives, as well as ways we might deliberately attempt to cultivate some for ourselves. Being hopeful is an often criticized outlook, unfortunately, relegated to those of us whose heads are in the clouds or not grounded in any form of reality. But hope is for everyone, right? In actuality, humans are mostly powerless to resist hope in one form or another. And in this next half hour, we will explore just that. So find a comfortable position, take a deep breath, and relax. Allow every note of music and every encouraging word to penetrate into you, to soothe you, and draw you deeper into a space of peace. This time is for you.
A mother ought to be our very first friend, a friend who knows us better than we, for they saw us first, even before we could see ourselves. A mother ought to hear her own deep calling, a calling so natural that to ignore it becomes a wound. She ought not only reply to it, but respond. A mother ought to listen to her heart, for it no longer beats for one. A mother ought to soften her hand, for they shall hold softer hands than hers. A mother ought to be many things, but loving most among them. For all good mothers know the trick to allowing the ones they love so much to, without restraint, change before their very eyes. A mother ought to be allowing, for that is the gift which allows our world the blessed future it is due.
This first candle is lit out of concern for the easing of health and safety restrictions, which some fear are occurring prematurely. History has shown us that our timing now may be ill-advised. May the truth of it be less than we fear and better than we hope for. Please be safe, be kind, be forgiving of the fears of others. Do your best to soothe them. Don't fight with them. They are probably more afraid than you are, which is why they react as they do. Pray for them. I light this candle of joy and gratitude for my own mother, Linda, and all the mothers out there who have done their best to allow their own peculiar children to grow up learning it's always best to just be themselves. I light this candle of concern and prayer for all those caring for ill family members from a distance, some of whom are in our very own congregations. It is so difficult to be away from our loved ones when they are ill and need our help. Human touch is an important factor in the healing process, and people are going without it. Pray for all the injured and ill, as well as all those who would be by their side if only they could. I light this final candle for all the joys and concerns which remain in our hearts, but are unspoken. All shall be well.
All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well.
You're a new mother holding her child newly born, and the dream has become less frightening as you preen and reflect and cradle his neck, just knowing who he came from enlightening. Then the nights come around and sleep's not to be found, and the rocker sits waiting to move, with this child in your arms, needing no greater charms than to open his eyes, telling you, I have loved you forever, I've liked you for always. As long as I'm living, my mama you'll be. That young baby grew as young babies do, and the dream can become holy terror, for they'll plan their attack for the moment you're back
is turned to a second's distraction. But then night rolls around and you turn the sheets down, and your little guy leaps into bed. All the sins of this day have all since washed away, and you cradle that child and say, I have loved you forever, I've liked you for always. I won't let you fall down, just hold on to me. For I love you forever and I like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby, you'll be. The teen years lived through the great hormone stew, unscathed but for one unloved fender. Then along came the day when this child did say, I'm a man now, my hand please surrender. Now the nights come around and you gaze at the town through the window where once was his bed. Quickly throw on your gown and drive on through that town, just to sneak in and cradle his head, whispering, I've loved you forever, I've liked you for always. I won't let you fall down, just hold on to me. For I love you forever and I like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby, you'll be. My baby, you'll be. My baby, you'll be. And one day the call came, please come my son, please. I'm old and I don't have much longer. When he walked in the door, she tried to sing for her son, who would always remember. I love you forever, I'd like you for always. But she could not finish, for she was too ill. And the sun came around, and without further sound, that boy cradled his mother in turn, gently laying her brow, looking far older now, on a shoulder with lessons to learn. He sang, I will love you forever, I'll like you for always. I won't let you fall down, just hold on to me. For I love you forever and I like you for always. As long as I'm living, my mama, you'll be. And when the sun came home that night, all was calm, as he slowly climbed up to his bed, stopping only to listen to soft little breaths coming from his own girl's little bed. And he crept softly in, carefully through the dim of the memories hidden inside of the boy who one day was held much the same way as this father holds daughter today, singing, I've loved you forever, I've liked you for always. I won't let you fall down, just cleave on to me. For I love you forever and like you for always. And you'll sing this song to your own child, one day you will see. 'Cause for now and evermore a part of you I will be.
Take a deep breath. Close your eyes if you feel like.
or just focus on the movement of the swirling and rippling water, and breathe. Mixed in with the bubbling sounds, I want you to listen for individual musical notes. Babbling brooks are especially musical. The notes are not sustained as we are accustomed to in our composed music. This music is uncomposed. There is no key or time signature, nothing but chaos. And yet it makes such a beautiful sound to us, we play recordings of it to fall asleep at night and sit by them to soothe our heated brains. For a couple minutes now, just listen for the notes. You don't have to solve anything or worry about anything. Just listen for the notes in the water. And any time that you are able to sit for a moment near the sound of babbling water in the future, let its babble be to you, for your ear. Always listen for the notes in the water.
What is the function of hope? What does it do for us or to us? I feel pretty sure we take the concept for granted. And of course, I had a general understanding of the reasons for maintaining a hopeful attitude as I began working on this message, but I started with the question, what is the function of hope? Because I didn't know. I wondered if it was the same thing as optimism, but by a different name. I Googled the difference between optimism and hope. I think you should do the same. In particular, read an article in Psychology Today by Dr. Utpal Dalaka, the link for which will be in the description for this video on our YouTube channel. I found hope and optimism are quite distinct from one another. There's definitely something to be pondered in the dynamics of their very unique partnership, though. They co-inform one another toward achievement. They each have only one operational directive, and it's the same: face forward. Where they differ is in the nature of how each concept is perceived and used by us. Hope is the emotional state of believing in a desired outcome, even knowing the odds are or might be against it. Optimism includes with it some degree of confidence that a plan will work out should all the pieces fall into place. It is with optimism that a plan, begun in hope, becomes more concrete. Still not a guarantee, but more possible. Optimism is fueled by hope, but it's also shown the way by it. Hope is the flashlight in the dark, which steadfastly looks for something that optimism can work with. Hope is the attitude we employ when continuing to cheer on a football team which rarely wins. Hope gives us permission to not know how it could possibly happen the way we want. It's associated with religion in that hope makes an assumption that there is more occurring behind the scenes than we are aware. It's the question mark variable. But from a state of hope, and possibly only from a state of hope, do we begin to sense and eventually notice possible pathways toward achieving a goal. Hope is what keeps the door open. Perhaps it really is effective to think of it as turning on a flashlight in the dark, especially in a space so much larger than the throw of your light, just light shining out into the nothingness, looking for something. A needle in a haystack, without any sense of direction, no clear pathway forward, just a desire and an unwillingness to believe against the impossible. Without hope, the flashlight just sits there, not even turned on. And the possibilities which may exist somewhere in the dark will lie undiscovered, at least until things get so bad that only hope remains. That's one thing we have always managed to count on. When things are at their worst, hope still remains. We may not see it in ourselves until pressed. We might even consider ourselves to be realists, which, by the way, is seldom a word I hear used by people who actively go about manifesting their desires. Optimists do that. Now, many of us have a challenging relationship with hope because, well, maybe we just might naturally have a dark view of life and humanity. Some take a view like that of Friedrich Nietzsche, who said, "Hope in reality is the worst of all evils because it prolongs the torments of man." Don't be so emo. I want to believe that hope is something we can choose for ourselves. And maybe that's why people who believe in a higher power have a tendency to live longer lives. Not because God is rewarding them for their faith, but because faith just happens to be one of the ways to allow for the existence of a question mark in the equation of hope. Faith is one of the ways hope can exist simultaneously with a rational mind, but only one of them. Hope can also be achieved through a belief in chance or superstition, crossing your fingers, not shaving your beard, or changing your socks until the playoffs are over. These are all clear demonstrations of hope, which have nothing to do with a higher power, at least as we usually define it. But the hope is still there. That hope keeps them coming back to the same stadium each year, believing that the impossible may happen this time. which now makes me think that yes, we can choose hope. Because there's so many different ways by which we can imagine the variables we don't yet have the ability to predict. It's built into phrases like, anything can happen, and it's not over till it's over. And my favorite one, it'll all be good in the end. If it's not good, it's not the end. We do our best to train ourselves to think in this way. Recommendations of hope are visible practically anywhere you look. Little encouragements are everywhere, even amid the blood and doom in our media, which help us to believe that there is an answer to the great question mark of our equation, if only we choose not to lose hope in its existence. From only hope comes optimism. And optimism is how things are achieved in this world. So attend to your hope. Join with the collective hopes of humanity for a safer, more peaceful world. Align your hopes with the greater good and keep your eyes peeled for the pathways which will reveal themselves as a result of it. Turn that flashlight on, no matter how dark it is. Everything will be okay. Above all things, I have hope. Gracious and maternal Spirit, from whose breath the winds first formed, thank you for this day. Thank you for all that nurtures us and teaches us how to be kind, how to be hopeful. Thank you for the instincts within us all to care for and serve others. Thank you for the value of embrace, especially as we feel so many fewer of them these days. And thank you for all the hidden solutions waiting for our eyes to be open enough to see them, but for whom hope is already there. Amen. enjoyed this time together. I hope for many things, including your peace, health, and comfort. And I hope you'll join us next week for our topic entitled, An Observed Thing Never Doesn't Change. Because everything we notice is affected by our attention. Is it affected positively or negatively? You get to decide. We are paying very specific attention to a lot of things we never bothered to before. What shall become of our notice? If you're enjoying these virtual church experiences, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And be sure to look at this week's Mother's Day message there as well. Until next time, be exceedingly well.